Okay, let's get it. Let's
All
get
right,
it.
let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Sheree, founder and editor-in-chief of Curls in the Hood. Today is a very special day. Today is our first Convos with Curls in the Hood with our very special guest, Yariszbeth. Woo, woo, woo.
Hey,
Um,
y'all.
and so let's get into it. I know you're nervous. Don't be nervous. This is
Don't be
intended to
nervous,
be
girl.
informal. I
Mhm.
made it moody for you. It's giving sexy nerd. You see the
I
lighting,
like that.
right? Sexy nerd from Flatbush, right? The
Nerd.
the lighting is intimate. I want you to feel safe with me as I
Okay,
pull up my notes because I'm a senior citizen and without notes, I don't exist.
exactly.
So I'm excited to have you. First, I want to say thank you for contributing to Curls in the Hood. So the folks don't know, every contributing writer for this digital magazine, it is on a volunteer basis.
Mhm.
I've been able to add folks, just because of some natural interest, but this does not exist without people like you contributing your voice to our digital community and tapestry of folk that encompass the Curls in the Hood team. So thank you for that.
Well,
Um,
thank you. An honor.
of course. So I'm gonna, because like I said, it's our first rodeo.
Mhm.
You're nervous. I'm clearly nervous. I just clown when I'm nervous. So
It's natural that way.
I'll give you some like what the touch points we're gonna work through today. So we have your introduction and background, your experience in fantasy football, kind of how you navigated breaking some stereotypes, being a woman football fan,
Mhm.
community engagement, some challenges, some triumphs that you've experienced being a hard body football girly,
Mhm.
your strategic approach to, busting ass in these fantasy football leagues. And then how you balance passion and reality, right? Because you're a student. I'm not gonna put all your tea out there. The internet is strange. Okay. So I got my serious glasses because this is a serious interview and I am a serious
Mm,
journalist.
nice. These are cute.
And so the only thing is that because of the light, right? I gotta like keep it on
Yeah.
the side
So
so that
yeah.
the,
Mhm. Doesn't
whatever.
reflect on it. Mhm.
Yes. Okay. So Miss Yarisbeth,
Yes.
can you
Yes.
share a bit about yourself and how you initially got involved in fantasy football?
Okay. My name is Yariszbeth Itzel. I go by Yariszbeth on Instagram with a Z. Um, I am from Brooklyn, New York. I am Panamanian. I come from a Panamanian household. And I got into football mostly because of my dad. He used to just have me sit down, watch Tom Brady on TV. That's when he had long hair. I used to call him Jesus.
Not white Jesus. Jesus
Because
on the football field,
he
girl.
was just so majestic. Like every time he took off his helmet, it was just like his hair was just like flowing. But yeah, he just became my favorite quarterback of all time only because of just his grit, like how he cares about his teammates and he's all about winning. And not really just about money, but he was just more so about winning and then like he just loved like he just had that passion. And that's really what I carried on with me growing up. So he's my biggest inspiration. My dad is also one of my biggest inspiration. He's the one that got me into sports and till this day, 28, I'm still here, still a football girly.
Okay. And then can you describe the moment when you realized you were dominating your fantasy football league? Like, what did that feel like?
So when I think what it was my second year playing fantasy football or probably my third year. My third year, I was going against like literally these guys that's been playing for years. And I kind of got my feet wet in the very beginning, and then I kind of figured it out because it takes like a long time. It's a lot of stuff that goes into fantasy. So once I got the gist of it, I was like, okay, I have to look at all of the players, like their injury report. You have to know about injuries because you don't want to have a lineup and then you figure out that your player is injured and he's out. And then it's like you're not gonna, get any points for it. So you're kind of missing out on winning. There's a high chance. And you have to know about their yardage. You have to know about just how good they are in general. So I go for like those underdogs that people don't really speak about because they're the ones that's truly shining. So once I figured that out, I was like, okay, let me go for the underdogs this time. Because everybody, when I did the draft, when we did the draft, it was everybody was picking all of like the big time names, right? So I'm like, all right, let me just go for these underdogs. Once I did that, they started showing out every single week. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to start this player this week and next week. Let me see. But then I have to kind of like gauge it too, because if one team is going against another team and their defense is better, et cetera, et cetera,
Mhm.
I have to really like strategize it that way too. So once I started doing that every week when I played against somebody else, I'm like, they have the superstars not even getting no points. And my players over here are like going crazy. So after all that time, I ended up being in the finals for the first time. And unfortunately, I didn't get first place,
That's
but being second place was probably one of the greatest moments ever, because I beat the commissioner, who
okay.
was also my homeboy. And he
Okay.
was butt hurt for so long. But that was probably one of the greatest things ever for me on fantasy.
Okay. Well, I love that you responded in that way because it kind of segues into what I wanted to call out from your article because you mentioned how, right, like football is male dominated, sport, obviously men play it and the fan base is primarily composed of men, and how there's this assumption that women cannot apply logic and reason
Mhm.
to how you're building out your team, right? And so what you just mentioned, it was all strategy, all stats,
Mhm.
the injury report. I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about football.
Mhm.
One of my good girlfriends, literally before we started this call, she was like, "I just want to see you try to talk about football." And so,
Trust
and I was like, "Girl, I'm not trying to talk about football. I Googled some questions, okay,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna ask the girlies the question."
That's
But no, but I think I'm the stereotypical girl trying to watch football, right? And you are someone that is kind of like, forging a lane and
Mhm.
making sure that other women know that that lane exists and excelling in that lane. And so that's
Mhm.
why it was so important for me to ask you to be a part of the
And I want to
conversation.
piggyback on what you're saying too, because it's so crazy. I had a conversation yesterday with one of my homeboys, and he would just describe that, like, so I'm going to piggyback on what you said, because I was having a conversation with my homeboy yesterday, and he was just like describing like how the women in NFL right now aren't really women that like really, really, really know football like that. So every time they like look at me, and every time I'm watching the games with them and I'm interacting, they're like, yo, Yaris, you really know it. Like, there's women that just fake act like they just know. And I was like, people thought that was me. People thought that was me. And that's where my fantasy name came from.
Oh, because they
Miss
thought you were capping.
Star. They thought I was
Right.
capping.
I'm about to say, because it's a me, Mario, big capper. When I used to date, I was like, I had a friend, a bestie Mook, and I'd be
Mhm.
like, what's happening? What teams can I pretend to like? I used to actually have Mook give me a team that was good, but not so good that like they would already be kind of like out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, so nobody was like really expecting me to like keep up. I had a whole strategy. Ask
Yeah.
me how effective it was, but
And there was something funny I saw, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I think it was on the NFL or probably Bleacher Report. And like the hosts were writing down their top wide receivers, right? And there was this one lady that was on there that had the worst list ever. And I looked at the comments, and then I had the same reaction. They was like, slide number 2 just ain't it. It had to be some cultural thing, because she don't know what the she's talking about.
no, I'm telling you, I think that I know that more women like you exist because if you exist, there are others,
And I
right?
wanna
Like,
pave the way for it, like, I just wanna be that girl, because like, I don't think they're seeing us right now. I don't think so, but then when it gets to that point, I just know it's gonna be like I'm dominating everything.
okay, well then I'm jumping around my questions because the
Oh, my
conversation is just kind of flowing. Oh, no, no, no. So then my next question is, what advice would you give other young women interested in getting involved in fantasy football? And
bad.
are there any specific resources, communities, or strategies that you would recommend for someone starting in their fantasy football journey? Now, not someone like me that's
Mhm,
gonna be like, Yaris, what's a parlay?
mhm.
Yaris, what's
That's so crazy, because
the
my loctician, she actually asked me, "Yaris, like, can you teach me fantasy football? Can you show me the way?" Because she actually does bet she does like the parlays and stuff like that. But I'm not into the betting because I bet one time and I was missing like one and then it was over for me. I was like, I'm never doing this again. But I like give picks here and there if people ask, whatever. But one advice I have is kind of see what friend or a friend of a friend that is in a fantasy league in general, because you need to have more than 10 or more players in a league in order for it to be like it makes for it to make sense, right? Because if you have like 5 people, like it doesn't make sense, because you need to have like a third place championship, you need to have first place, you need to have fifth place, sixth place, et cetera, et cetera. So you need more people, right? You look for friends that play fantasy football. Two, I would study players, because you can't really do fantasy without knowing players. It's very
Okay.
important to know players. You have to. Um, Another advice that I have is, I think those two are it.
Okay.
You have to know somebody that is doing fantasy football. That's one. So that way you can be in the draft, you can participate. And two, you have to know the players. That's really, you have to know positions too. You have to know which player is what. You
Okay.
have to know defensive strategy. You have to know like the teams in general. So that's the advice that I have. Probably researching, going on like, in Instagram pages like Bleacher Report or like NFL, because all they do is post every second of the game. They're showing like what player received X amount of yards and if they exceeded their, career high or something like that. Those are really like good, outlets. And then like watching some like podcasts as well. Football podcasts, they tell you everything about
Okay.
players, especially the players now as well.
Well, again, you are the best first guest ever, because again, the conversation is just kind of naturally going in a place that
Mhm.
is taking me into my next question for you.
Mhm.
Balancing passion and reality. So I mentioned earlier that you are a student. And if anyone read the actual Curls in the Hood article and they read your bio, you are a former celebrity makeup artist.
Mhm.
You're still a beauty girly. You're still my favorite beauty girly.
Mhm.
And so how do you balance your passion for the game and other aspects of your life, such as this kind of natural affinity to the beauty industry?
That's interesting because being a beauty influencer at a young age, 17, 18 years old, I've always been an onion, like what Shrek say. I always go back to what Shrek said when he said, I'm like an onion, I have layers to me. I've always been this person that everything had to be about makeup,
Mm.
but I had other, layers to me. And I feel like no one wasn't really trying to like grasp that part of me. Everything was makeup, 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 makeup. And I wanted to be about makeup all the time. If I were to post, I don't know, a makeup video, a tutorial, and then I add metal music to it, it's like, oh, I don't like this. Take the music off. If I'm posting makeup on my story, but I'm posting me watching the football game, is like that doesn't get like views like that. Like everything was all about makeup. So I've decided as time went by, I'm gonna always remain myself. I'm not always going to just post about makeup because there's more to me. So how I balanced that was just continue doing what I wanted to do. Whoever wanted to be here for that can stay for that. Whoever did not want to stay for that can go. There's a lot of beauty influencers that just solely focus on makeup. I'm just not one of them. And that's what separates me from a lot of these beauty influencers. I
Mhm.
didn't care for going for like the millions of followers. I didn't care to cater to all of these brands that wanted something from me that I did not want to commit to. So balancing, all of that, I was able to do it because again, I did everything that I wanted to do for me. So if I'm watching football, I can commit to watching football and I can still commit to doing makeup. It didn't really like,
It
you
didn't
know,
it
no,
didn't clash
at
with you
all.
definitely.
Because
Well,
it's my interest, like is what I love. So if I'm passionate about something, I'm going to just continue to do it and then just like still keep it in the same realm. It
this is the
didn't,
thing too,
yeah.
and I'll say as somebody that is kind of like auntie age in comparison to you, right? Girl, you know me in the age range, right? But I think, and I'm gonna take these glasses off now because my question's almost done and it's reflecting too much light.
Mhm.
Um, I think being multi-passionate is important.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad that you did not allow your audience or the appeal of the bag, so to speak, take you out of your zone of genius. And so, because I feel like as a society, we're always forced to choose. And that's kind of my personal story, right? I was a dancer, I was an entertainer, I was all of those things when I was younger. And then as I got older, art was treated like
Mm-hmm.
this childish thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I needed a real job, and I fell victim to that, right?
Absolutely.
I made a decision. I saw those silos getting built and I picked one, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm spending as I enter my summer years, right? You're a spring chicken, I'm a summer chicken. As I enter my summer,
Yeah.
I'm now having to unlearn and redo and take back those things. So I'm glad that you kind of peeped game and said, no, there's space for me. Your audience will find you. And I think that we're not really post Koviana, but
Mm-hmm.
post the lockdown,
Yeah.
I think that more people are understanding that it is okay to be a jack of all trades,
Mm-hmm.
and it is okay to have multiple interests, and you can be great at multiple things. So kudos to you, Boo.
Thank you.
Kudos to you.
Yeah,
All right.
that's exactly what it was.
And then this is my last question, but this does not end the combo unless you
Okay.
got What's next for Yariszbeth?
What's next for me? Okay. So right now I am in school. I am officially a junior business major.
We love an educated queen.
Yes. GPA is up there. Hello.
I've
Up there.
seen it. She's not lying. She's a D
Um,
list baby.
Ever since I discovered what I wanted to do as a career, I felt like my brain just like said, ding, I'm gonna go back to school. Um, and I've always been saying, like, I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna go back to school, and never made a step to do it because I just had this like fear of failure.
Mhm.
Being the eldest out of two boys, and I'm the only one without a degree. It kind of like put a damper on things too. And I feel like my brain just wasn't working because I was out of school for so long. Um, I did the whole bartending thing. I was dipping and dabbling in like different things to get the flow going still because I was always so bored. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just wanted to see something. I did the bartending thing. It was cool. I built a lot. I built a lot of relationships in that industry. It was fun, but I just couldn't do the late night thing. And then, coming home late and not really sleeping. I was feeling a little depressed. And I'm just like, Yaris, what are you doing with your life? You have all these things. Makeup, I didn't really pursue that as a career. But then I'm like, people tell me all the time, Yaris, you are really like into football. Like, why don't you just go get into sports? And I never really thought about it until I'm like, wait a second, I really do know my shit. Like, I really do know. Why not make it a career? So I was like, you know what? Let me go to school. Let me get my degree in business. Let me finish what I started. I went back to school after 10 years, went back in fall of 2022. And I was able to be on a dean's list the first year coming back, and it was very rewarding. I have never received anything academic achievement in my entire life. So this made me so tunnel vision, and it made me so focused and looking forward for my future. And I was like, let me just go into sports. Let me get my degree and let me continue my studies and get my master's in sports management. And then, I made a lot of connections so far with people in sports. So I'm looking forward to those little things, I'm getting my feet wet. I'm getting my feet wet. So I'll be there soon. I'll be there soon.
Listen, if you become a sports analyst, I and I'm putting this on wax. Like I will watch football. I will watch a whole football game.
You have
I've
to.
never watched a whole football game. I will. I will. If I can turn on my TV and see you freezing your butt off at a Minnesota Vikings game.
Even being on a field, like, when I plays, like probably being a coordinator for a team or something. That's definitely something that I would love to do. I like to be hands-on. I like to be hands-on. I love teamwork. I love togetherness. I love family. So like I want to be in something like that, building relationships with players and helping them succeed.
And something just came to me. Is there a such thing as a sports influencer? I know that you've kind of
Oh,
outgrown the influencer space. I'm not really, the older I get, I kind of like what I like and follow who I follow.
mhm,
I'm trying to pull myself out of that sameness that
mhm,
comes with,
mhm,
entering the later years of your life. But okay, because I think too, it's just, while you're funding education and other things,
mhm,
because you got
mhm.
it. I mean, the face card is it's a
Right.
Amex, right?
But there
And
is such a there is
and you
such a thing.
have the education. It's not just about the beauty, but like
Right.
this is a
Right.
package, So I listen, youth is
Yeah,
wisdom.
no, there is such a
No.
thing. There is such a thing. Like in the media world, like in sports, like the media people, like they're the ones that's like, doing the videos and like when players win or something, they go on the phone and they're like, oh, say something to the media or whatever. Like I'm gonna see where I fit in, the sports world. So I'm gonna gain my knowledge in everything and then see where it takes me because I already have all of those under my belt. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like if they offer me something here. I already know that. I can definitely get that position, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to be able to know everything and then see where I fit best. If it's an influencer, if it's a media person, if it's broadcasting, if it's coordinating, or even referee. Like I see there's a lot of women doing that, and that would be fire. I wouldn't even mind doing that.
I can just see you now like running up and down. Listen, I love it. I love all of it. I love the passion that you have for it. I hope that we get you in another issue of Crossing the Hood. I've already been on your butt about that a little bit, but
Mhm.
school comes first and you have other obligations coming down the pipeline. So, we are just, like I said, I'm so happy that you contributed your voice to my baby,
Mhm.
Curls in the Hood, just for the folks that will watch this eventually, is something that was a brainchild beginning 2018. And
Mhm.
I bought the assets. Like I just kind of like I knew that I wanted this space to exist, but I didn't know in what capacity.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But I always bet on me. So I remember I bought my domain right away. I bought all of the IP and I got that
Mhm.
rolling and I got the trademark and I did all of the things, but I didn't know what I wanted it to be. And so I've had 2023 dog walked me. But in that, I kind of figured out what this is. And so
And you made it work, and you found the
listen,
voices.
hello. And I found your voice and the group of other folks whose voices contribute and encapsulate what Curls in the Hood will
And
continue.
everyone's voice was amazing. I read everyone's article, and they
Yes.
all did amazing too.
So just a FYI, this Convos with Curls in the Hood will be a monthly series. Yaris is week 1. Next week we'll have Blue Lady Gamer,
Mhm.
who will be explaining to the people why y'all are not ready for polyamory. She is a licensed sex therapist, so she comes with spice in her natural personality, but
Nice.
also again the education to back it up. And then week 3, closing out our January Convos with Curls in the Hood, is our incognito, our family incognito, Apollo Jones. He's going to be talking us through his writing process and what it was like sharing his journey of cutting his 23-year-old locks off. And so I'm
That's a spiritual journey.
hello. He's a new man. But I'll let him tell his story himself. But thanks, Boo. And
Mhm.
again, it's always a pleasure to see your gorgeous face.
Oh, thank
You
you.
did such a great job. You were nervous for no reason.
I know, right? Oh, nervous everything.
But yes, so this will be up January 5th, 9 p.m. And so you can say goodbye. Oh, where can people find you before we go?
All right, y'all can find me on Instagram at Yariszbeth, Yarizbeth.
Yes, because Yariszbeth is a Black girl who rolls her R's. She is
Hello.
Panamanian beauty from Flatbush, USA.
Flat- Born and raised.
Born and raised. All right. So I'm going to end this now and then we can stay on post
Okay,
the Kiki. All
that's how
right.
we
Thanks,
see.
guys.